This video is about a little box called Playdate.
I love it. What is it?
It's a new thing. It plays games.
I already have a thing that plays games.
Me too, but this is a little different.
We wanted to try something different, and so we did the most difficult, different thing that you could possibly.
Let's take another look. Say hello to Playdate.
Oh, I like it.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Thanks. That means a lot. Here's a hand. Playdate fits right there. There's an A button, B button, D-pad, Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, USB-C, all the hits.
Wait, what's that thing?
That's the
Crank.
It's a crank.
Yeah, seriously, what is it?
The crank. You crank it, like this. It can control the games. It's fun. Now look at this. The display, extremely high resolution.
Is there a backlight?
No, but the screen is super reflective. You can even play it by candlelight.
Really?
Maybe. Playdate was dreamed up by this company called Panic. They're in Portland. They love making things. And this is the first time they've made hardware. So they got a little help from this company called
Teenage Engineering.
They're over in Stockholm. This guy named Jesper came up with the idea for the crank.
Okay, so who makes the games?
Some people you've heard of, some people you haven't.
You are so mysterious. I love it. So what are these new games they're working on?
That's the best part. You won't know what you're getting, not until they Wi-Fi themselves into your Playdate. You know that feeling when...
That's a great feeling.
And that's what Playdate is all about. A game appears, and then a week later, you get a new one. It's like a season of TV.
A mystery surprise game that could be basically anything?
Now you're getting it.
How long is the season?
12 weeks, 24 games, all season long. You and her and that guy over there and everyone else will be enjoying these mystery surprise games you can't play anywhere else. And also this, every Playdate can be used to make your own games. So, what do you think?
All right, I'll do it.
Great. Ready for your Playdate? Oh, and you can also get this snap-on dock with the speaker and a place to hold your pen.
Oh my god.
Hi, I'm Farooq, and this is the AMG Online 2021 panel. Today we have Panic on Playdate. Is the world ready for a new Cranky game console? And for our panelists joining us today, thank you so much for joining us. We have Arisa Sudangnoi coming in, as well as Greg Maletic. Hi, guys.
Hey, how are you?
All right. So I know it's been a really rough year for everybody and all that. How is it all going over on your side of the world? You know, anything special happening?
It's been tough. I mean, you know, it's we were used to working in pretty close quarters before, and then we had to all go home essentially. And but working over Slack has made it easier, and video conferencing has made it easier. So it's gone pretty well. The toughest part actually was not being able to go to Malaysia very easily to watch our playdates being made. We'll talk about that more later, but that's been a real problem for us.
Yeah, I started right before the pandemic, lockdown and all that happened. So it was definitely an interesting experience.
Okay, yeah, I can imagine. It's been tough for everyone out there, but hope you're all hanging on, and we really want to see what Panic Inc. has to offer. So without any further ado, I hope you guys can reintroduce yourself and what you guys do at Panic Inc., if you don't mind. Sorry.
Sure.
Yeah.
I'm Greg Maletic, and I am the director of special, and that just sort of means I work on whatever Panic happens to be doing at the moment. And Playdate has been worked on for a long time at Panic for about. We started almost 7 years ago with just one person working on Playdate, trying to hobble something together, and eventually made a handheld gaming device. And we've slowly been adding more and more people to it. So we have a team of about probably 7 or 8 people working on it right now.
I'm Arisa, and like I said, I recently started back in January 2020, and I'm the developer relations lead. So that means a lot of emails to the season 1 developers and just help out with whatever is needed, like, QA for the games and refund policies and all these, different things.
All right, thank you guys so much. And we've already been chatting quite a bit about it, but can you walk us through exactly what the Playdate is? Can you tell us, for those tuning into the panel, what is the Playdate?
I guess I can start. Playdate is a little handheld gaming device. I'll hold one up here. This is it in its little purple cover here. This is what the Playdate looks like. It's a little handheld gaming device with a weird black and white screen and some controls here like you see on a Game Boy, and then it's got a very unusual little crank here that you use in the various games that you play. And One of the things that's unusual about Playdate is that the games come in what we call a season. You're going to get 24 games once you turn on your Playdate. What will happen is they'll come slowly to your device over the device's Wi-Fi. And every week you'll get 2 new games to play with, 2 new surprise games. And that's how you have fun with Playdate. And it's unusual because it's coming from a company that's only done Mac apps in the past. Panic has been around for about 20 something years now and is well known in the Mac community, but not well known in less well known in gaming, although we've done a couple of gaming things over the past 5 years. We've done a game called Firewatch and then a game called Untitled Goose game, and those have been pretty well received. And we published those games, and now we're doing gaming hardware, and so we're doing a lot of weird new stuff that we hadn't done before. So it's kind of a wild experiment for us.
Yeah, we're all very much looking forward to it, of course. So the Playdate, it's such a cute little console that you got there, and season worth of games. So really looking forward to that. So again, I hope we can just break straight into the Q&A that we have set for you guys right now. So one of the first few questions that we had is that we heard that the Playdate is actually being manufactured here in Malaysia, like more specifically, Sungai Petani. Like, how did this happen? Like, how did that contact go through?
It's correct. That's correct. We're building it in Malaysia, and we found the location through a consultant that we're working with. We don't know anything about building devices. That was one thing that we learned very early on. But we worked with a couple of partners to help us with this. One is a company called Teenage Engineering that's based out of Sweden. That's well known for their synthesizers and audio speakers. They're a great design firm. We partnered with them on designing Playdate, the industrial design for it. And they set us up with a company called Metro Design Works. It's a small consultancy that's based out of San Francisco, a guy named Steven Nersessian. And he had a lot of experience building stuff both in China and at Sungai Petani in Malaysia with a company called S&O. They're our partner there. And he recommended S&O as a great partner for Playdate. He thought they would do an excellent job building it. And that's been our experience so far. And so it's been, wonderful trying to set up the production line with them. We've loved visiting Malaysia. It's been just an incredible experience going over there. And so, yeah, that's how we were set up with this partner of ours, but it's been a great experience.
All right, wonderful. Okay, so I know like we were during the introductions and all, we talked a little bit about how the Playdate looks like, but again, can you like show us a live sample of it and maybe like give like the dimensions of how big the Playdate is?
Arisa, do you want to hold up yours?
I don't know the exact dimensions, so Greg might have more.
Yeah, it is 76 by 78 millimeters. About 9 millimeters thick. It's quite small. I don't know if you have Post-it notes. Are familiar with the term Post-it notes?
Oh, yeah.
It's the same size as Post-it notes. Just like, yeah. So it's quite small. People are surprised at how small it is when they see it.
Wish I had a reference of maybe a mug. I don't know. Like, this is a mug.
Yeah, the mug looks gigantic next to it.
Yeah.
It's a cute little console indeed. Okay, so before we talk any more about anything right there, we have to talk about what's on the side of the Playdate, of course. What was the inspiration behind the crank part for the Playdate?
So the crank idea came from Teenage Engineering. And I mentioned before, they do synthesizers and other cool consumer electronics. On one of their synthesizers, they actually have kind of a crank attachment you can put on to turn some of the dials. And so I think they were already kind of thinking in this vein to begin with. And they sent us a CG illustration of what they thought this would look like. And we didn't know they were going to try this. And the second we saw the crank on the side, we're like, oh, we have to do that. That's just an incredible idea. Because we were going to do a D-pad and buttons, sort of the normal controls. But we hadn't thought of anything really weird or different like the crank. And so it just seemed totally appealing, and it works great as an input device for games. A lot of games are using it in really clever ways.
Yeah, I cannot wait. And personally here, I'm just gonna say it. As long as there's a fishing game on there eventually, I am already hooked. You got me. I can already see myself on it as soon as there's
Pun
gonna be one.
intended.
Of course,
Yeah.
of course. Oh man. Okay, so moving on into another question. Okay, speaking about gaming today, everything's so flashy, just so much budget into like even just the music and all this graphics, that sort of thing in games. Like, what was the idea that why the team decided to go back to like the basic, black and white screen, sort of the '90s, early '90s Nintendo style of game?
The initial inspiration, we actually wanted to make a Nintendo Game and Watch style game. That was literally what we were going for at the beginning. Um, and the idea has sort of grown since then, but we've always held on to the idea of a black and white screen as being something different. We needed to build something that was not like the phone in your pocket. Essentially, there's nobody needs another one of those. It has to be something unique and unusual to make it actually stand out. And so even though there are limitations to black and white and there's no backlight on the device, it's a unique challenge to try and write a game for it. And developers have really latched onto that as being something fun and interesting to do. And as a player, it's just like it's not your phone. It's something else. It has physical controls to it, a weird screen, and a weird crank.
Arisa, I'd like to ask this one to you. Do you think the Playdate will be able to catch the attention of today's gamers, especially when we're talking about how spoiled they are with graphics and such?
I mean, I think so, and I hope so. I mean, personally, I have kind of went from this like need for these long experiences and high graphics to just wanting just a small experience of a game. And I feel like Playdate is just exactly what I wanted and always wanted. And so I hope maybe other people are kind of feeling this way too. And I think there is sort of a trend of just I don't know, maybe people who just getting busier and busier and just wanting to have something on the go real quick to play something and not just like these like hours and hours long experiences, I guess.
Yeah, like I can say for sure that a lot of us like we don't feel like we boot up our computer or game and we're just like, oh man, I don't want to dive into that. So yeah, maybe with these quick fun quirky games that you have going on, the Playdate will sure catch on there. Um I have another question for you
I guess
guys.
I should mention,
Sorry, go on.
sorry. Um the experiences kind of varies too on the Playdate. It's not just like small experiences. So we do have some games that are a little bit longer. I think one of them Ratcheteer. How long is it, Greg? Do you remember?
It's like
Like
8 hours of gameplay.
yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So we do have like, the small arcadey games that can just be quick and then we have the pretty longer like RPGs. So it varies, but I still like having it be so compact and just like portable and don't have to worry about the battery running out so quickly like with a phone.
All right. Is speaking about the games a little bit, is there any other like games that you can talk about here and there that you actually really enjoy? Both of you?
Yeah, I mean, we do have 4 games that we showed more of in our, Playdate update video. So that's, Whitewater Wipeout, Lost Your Marbles, Crankin', of course, since that's, has been known for a while, and, Saturday Edition. So, uh, I don't know if we feel comfortable showing it just yet. I don't know, Greg, what do you what are you thinking?
Well, I mean, we show a little bit in our preview video that we put out a little while ago. I mean, they cover different. Those are 4 of the 24 games that are in our first season, and they're sort of representative of what you'll find, which is it's kind of a grab bag of everything. Cranking is sort of an arcadey type game where you're using the crank to control the flow of time as a robot tries to get to his first date. Um, it's by Keita Takahashi, who did Katamari, and so people are very excited about that game. Um, Saturday Edition is sort of a graphic adventure in the vein of old LucasArts games, and so it's more an experience of what you might have had on a Macintosh in its early days, because the black and white graphics are very reminiscent of that. Um, Lost Your Marbles is sort of a story-based game that's mixes action and story together in different ways. And Whitewater Wipeout is just pure arcade, where you're surfing and you use the crank to control how you spin on your surfboard, and you try and do tricks to gain points. And so those 4, I mean, there's a lot more to come. Obviously, there's 20 additional games, but those 4 kind of show the breadth of what we're going to have.
Okay. Okay, and I'm gonna go on to another question. This one's a bit open-ended. I kind of want to hear what both of you have to say for this one. It's like, what is the end goal of Playdate?
Um, I guess I'd say there isn't much of an end goal. I mean, we sort of jumped into the project thinking, this would be one incredibly fun for us to do to build a video game console. It's something we've all dreamed of doing our whole lives. And second, we thought there was an opportunity to do something that was really fun for both developers and players, something that isn't out there, that is unique, that gives a different experience, that is more approachable, that's easier to write games for, and could attract a much larger audience of game authors. We've done, we've it's pretty easy to write a Playdate game, relatively speaking, and we have a tool coming out called Pulp for Playdate that will make it even easier. So someone who doesn't know anything about authoring games can use Pulp and actually put out a real Playdate game. We thought about how exciting that was, and we sort of hoped there'd be enough customers for it to make it a viable business, but there wasn't really an end goal per se. It was just, we thought, hey, this sounds fun. This sounds like it could work and could be successful, and that was enough.
Yeah, I guess kind of echoing what Greg was saying, from what I understand, Panic wanted to make something really quirky and fun, and different, so that, came the Playdate. And yeah, I foresee a lot, varieties of games, and because of how much easier it is to make a game, and with Pulp, hopefully that allows more accessibility for people who are less, they don't consider themselves developers, but they are, great storytellers, or, artists, or whatever it is. So yeah, hopefully that brings in more game makers.
And that's a very noble goal, helping a lot of these developers and all that. And that sort of breaks into my next question. I feel like in this day and age, especially, it takes a lot of effort and guts to really support indie game developers, and coming from the publishing side, of course, from Panic Inc. Like, what are the sort of obstacles you guys run into helping indie devs and doing all this sort of work?
Yeah, I think with Playdate being, it's not a cheap device, right? Especially for many different regions, like, and the purchasing power for, different people and countries and stuff. So, trying to make sure that we make the Playdate accessible to people to make games as much as possible, and it's not just people who can't afford it, or people who are located in, North America or whatever. So, I think that can definitely be a struggle, especially with how difficult it is to ship, worldwide. There's just so many obstacles with making sure that we can actually do that.
Yeah, I mean, it's tough to ship things internationally economically, and so but we're committed to getting Playdates into as many hands as we possibly can. I mean, part of that is we've all been personally frustrated trying to buy new devices online where supply is really constricted. It's a fight to get a PS5, for example. It's getting a little better now, but that's been a huge struggle for people, I think, all over the world. What we're trying to do is we're going to have an open ordering system where people can place an order for a Playdate. We're not going to cut off at a certain number of Playdates. We're going to take as many orders as we possibly can, and then build that many orders. And so we don't want people to be freaked out that they missed the ordering window that was on Wednesday. We're going to just keep it open indefinitely. And so we thought that would be kind of easier for people that were interested in Playdate to get it and not have to stress out about waking up at 5 a.m. on every morning to try and locate one. But yeah, we're trying to make it accessible to everybody, and so yeah, that's been a big priority for us.
All right. Thank you so much for that one. Now I'm gonna break into another question though. Speaking about the Playdate and all, are there any other like upcoming projects, maybe like, accessories for it, or maybe even more games that we should take a look out for as well for the Playdate? Is there anything else on that?
Well, I mentioned one before, which is the cover that wraps around Playdate, and I've got one right here. That actually has launched simultaneously with the Playdate, and so that it just mounts on here magnetically, like this, and closes up and protects your Playdate. But we have another accessory coming out. We haven't announced a ship date for this yet, but it is the stereo dock. And it looks like this. And what it is a charging dock for Playdate. And so what you can do is Playdate mounts on the front magnetically, just like it does with the cover, and sits on there like this. So it's like a little, almost looks like a little TV set sitting on your nightstand or on your desk. And this will charge your Playdate when you plug it on there, put it on there. It connects magnetically and charges. It's also a stereo as well. So when you plug it in, we have a special music app that can kick in, and you can enjoy music at your desk or wherever you happen to be. We also have, finally, it has this weird, we have this extra space in the back of the dock, and so we have these weird holes here that are for a pen holder or a pencil holder, and so we have a pen that is coming with Playdate as well, the dock as well. So the pen slides right in there. So it's kind of a ridiculous accessory, but it's fun and cool and looks nice on your desk. And that will be coming out later. We don't have a date yet. We're still working on it, trying to get the sound as good as we possibly can. But that's coming soon.
Yeah, I guess other things relating to like other games coming out. We kind of showed some clips of the people in our developer preview. So we had shipped out about 300 to 50-ish playdates early on last year for developers that were working on games. And so there are some pretty cool projects in there that I highly recommend looking at it and seeing what games are out there that people are working on. We also talked about have already talked about 2 games that Sweet Baby, the same people that worked on Lost Your Marbles, one of our season 1 games, is funding to marginalize and newer developers and a team to make 2 games. And yeah, we have, as probably many people know, Lucas Pope working on a cool game as well that we recently had found out about. I think he had gotten a playdate for a while now, and so we hadn't heard from him, and we reached out and we're like, oh, like, are you, how's everything going? Like, are you working on anything? And he showed us a really cool game that he's working on, and you can see that in the update video as well of that game.
Oh wow, I can't wait for that. So new games coming out. It's really big names actually. Like I don't think indie just does them justice as well, but really interested to see and hear. Hopefully, we get more info on this as soon as we can, of course. And okay, so we have a couple of questions coming in from the audience as well for those tuning in. We have one coming in from Joe. All right. Of course, this is a little bit about the another game that you guys helped published as well. She asks, will the Untitled Goose game be playable on the Playdate somehow or anything?
But no, we don't have an Untitled Goose game playable on the Playdate, unfortunately. But
No plans for that as of yet. We get a lot of requests for that. It's up to House, the company that wrote Untitled Goose Game. We are the publisher of it, but House is the company that actually came up with the idea and wrote the game. And so they have ideas for games in the future. We'll have to see if they want to do something for Playdate.
Okay, so maybe a future project coming in from that company. Really funny if they do go into it. Of course, I have another question coming in from Cheryl. Was there a live reference sitting around the office annoying everyone every day for the Untitled Goose Game? Of course, like I understand you guys are publishers, but I think maybe there is some connection there for you guys. Do you have any answer to that?
No live geese around the office. I'm trying to think if I've never seen a picture of House's office. I doubt they had live geese as live models in the office, although they might have shot some video as a study. But fortunately, I don't think that was a.
All right. Then we have another question coming in from Ninja Kyun. Since there is no need for game cartridges on the Playdate, does this mean that users would have to purchase the game online? Is there any store or any way to go about that? How does it all work for the Playdate?
so right now, with once like people get their playdates, the season 1 is already included for anyone that buys a playdate, and so we plan on releasing that on a weekly basis once you set up your device. So, and I guess in regards to people that are working on games on the side, like the people I mentioned in the developer preview and Lucas Pope, we are allowing people to sideload. So that means that you could sell your game on your own website, or other stores like places like Itch, something similar, where you sell your Playdate game and then can upload it directly on your Playdate. We do are looking into other ways to distribute games to customers, but we don't have an answer yet for launch. So I guess stay tuned until we have more information on that.
All right. Hopefully, Ninja Kun is going to be happy with that. And we have another question coming in from Fran. When will the Playdate be available for sale in Malaysia? And how much will it be priced here?
So that's a great question. We are working on that. We wanted Malaysia to be in our initial set of countries. One of the issues, though, is that the tariffs are really high. The duties are extremely high for re-importing Playdates back into Malaysia. And they, unfortunately, the way the system works, they have to leave Malaysia and then come back after they are made at SNO. It's a weird legal restriction, but we're trying to figure out a local distributor in Malaysia that could help solve this problem, because I think that'll let us get around the issue. Because right now it's just prohibitively expensive to ship it there and back again. But it's Playdate's from Malaysia, and so it's really important for us that people there can get one. So we're working on it. Oh, and the price would be the same effectively. I mean, for the price for the core unit, it would be $179 US would likely be the fee. And I don't know how that translates into local currency, but that's approximately what it would cost.
Okay, then I think that wraps up the questions coming in from the audience. Again, guys, thank you so much for joining us here at AMG Online 2021. Is there any other last words that you'd like to say to Malaysia or to AMG in particular before we sign off or anything?
Yeah, it was great talking to you all, and I grew up in Thailand, for 9 years, and so just seeing fellow Southeast Asians is always great to hear from y'all. So, and I love Malaysia. I've been there, a couple years ago to the Level Up KL. I think it was one of the game conferences I went to. It was a lot of fun to see all the cool games that are made there.
Yeah, just this has been a lot of fun to talk to you, and I hope everybody has a good conference. And we've, it's been our pleasure to work with folks in Malaysia to build Playdate. We wouldn't have Playdate without those people helping us out, and we're excited to get Playdate to Malaysia.
I actually have one more question coming in from Kamo Medan. She's asking, how do you hold the Playdate when you play? Can you guys give a little how do you hold on to it, maybe with the crank or anything like that? How does that work out for you guys?
It's not basically it depends on the game itself. Some games are crank only, and so you just kind of hold it. Everyone holds it differently. I hold it with kind of a finger on the top here and fingers around the back like that, and so you can crank like that. And so for a crank only game, that works pretty well. Some games are controls only, and so you just do it like you would a Game Boy, basically. And some are a combination of both. And it's kind of up to the developer to kind of manage how that works, because obviously if you were trying to crank and push all the buttons at the same time, that gets pretty tricky. So developers don't really do that. They try and figure out some clever ways to use these controls in this situation and the crank in a different situation. So it's about balancing the use of the two so you don't feel overwhelmed trying to manipulate everything at once. Arisa, how do you hold your Playdate?
Yeah, I guess I hold it a little differently, so I kind of just hold it at the bottom and crank. Yeah.
Yeah, we went around the office and asked people how they held it, because I just assumed everyone did it like I did. That was, of course, what I would assume. But as we walked around the office, there were probably 6 different ways to hold it. Everyone was doing it differently. And so that was very eye-opening, and so we tried to factor that into the design.
So no matter who you are or whatever, you will find that sort of position that works. It's very open-ended and all that. Okay,
Yes.
I like it a lot. Now we were on the way our closing up. We were talking about Southeast Asia, and of course, as fellow Southeast Asian person here myself, we cannot go without talking about the food. Is there any sort of food that you guys really like over in Malaysia or just Southeast Asia in general? Either of you?
Oh gosh, I'm trying to remember the names, but I really enjoyed the guitiao noodles. What is it called with the curry noodles? It's spicy.
Maybe laksa is what you're thinking of?
Laksa. Yes,
There, okay,
laksa.
okay.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
So
laksa
good.
is maybe my favorite too. Yeah, we had a chance to sample a lot of it. We stay over in Georgetown when we're there frequently, and there's a lot of amazing restaurants there. And so we've had incredible Malaysian, incredible Chinese food, incredible everything. It's astonishing how good the food is there.
And I guess as a
Oh,
fellow
is it?
Southeast Asian, I love durian, and I'd love to try durian in Malaysia someday because here there's a lot of different kinds.
Oh my goodness. You have no idea how many kinds of durian we have here and how many people you made happy talking about durian as well. Can't wait till all this blows over. Hopefully you guys get to sample even more food, of course, here in Malaysia, here in Southeast Asia in general.
CKT, is that a dish I think I've had? Maybe I've got the initials wrong, but it's like a stir-fried noodles with egg and chicken and kind of a brown sauce.
Yeah,
Char
char kway teow, yes, yes. It
Yes,
was briefly
yes,
touched
yes.
upon. It's like the same sort of noodles you use in laksa, yeah, but it's pan fried and a whole bunch of sauces. And you guys are talking about Georgetown. That's
Yeah.
like the place for great Malaysian food. So I cannot be any more happier knowing that you guys were really happy with the food over there. It makes me very happy.
Yeah, it's outstanding. Really, really amazing.
On that note, I think we're gonna wrap things up. So again, guys, thank you so much for joining the AMG Online 2021 panel, of course. So, guys over at Panic INC, of course, Arisa, Greg, thank you so much for joining us.
Yeah, thank you, and it's great to meet you all.
Yes, very nice. Thank you for the opportunity.